My expectations for this upcoming season are very high. Just like you mentioned, we have a more experienced group this year. They go from freshman to sophomore now to mostly juniors and seniors that are going to be on our roster this year with a mix of some transfers, also some freshmen. I expect a lot from my returning class. They know my expectations, they know the program's expectations, and I hope that they can lead those younger ones quickly into what we want to do, and we want to get up tempo, fast, quicker type of basketball, quicker shots and things like that. And I think in reality, we should be breaking a 500 season, if not up in the top 5 in the conference this year. I'm much more of a defensive-minded coach. Our defense is not nearly where we need to be, especially the last 2 years, and even right now in practices, it's not where it needs to be. But speaking offensively, I think if we get up tempo, a little bit more higher quality shots, knowing who the hot hand is and things like that, I think that we'll see our scoring average, I think, was closer to 60, maybe 65 last year. We'll see it more in the 70, 75 range is what my anticipation is. But then that also brings with our quickness and things like that, being able to press more and doing more three-quarter court type of press and pressures will also help create our offense a little bit more. Well, 3 things. I think number 1 is we have to be able to use our bench this year. The last 2 years we were very limited, maybe 6 players that were giving us anything good in those minutes that they were playing. So I think that's number 1, is just using our bench. And then the second thing I think is going to be the biggest one for me is raising our defensive pressure on ball, ball screens and things like that, full court, three-quarter court. I think that will also push us to the next level. And the third thing is ultimately just learning how to play with each other. I know that we have a couple of transfers that are coming in, some freshmen, that is also where our depth lies this year. So once they jump on board and understand the expectations and the returners continue to hold themselves to a high standard and continue to push, I think that's where we're going to see the next step. We kind of joke all the time that Lacey has gone from just being a baby and all over the place to being a little bit more fundamentally sound and structured, and I think that's helped her tremendously. She's always been that player that she wants the ball in her hands, and I think that she's finally realized that she doesn't have to do it all. That was her mindset coming in from high school, and she's playing with talented players, and I think she just needs to get herself to slow down, and she's progressively done so. But this year especially, I think she's realizing that she has a full roster of players around her as well, that she needs to slow down just even a little bit more and realize that all of her shots are still going to be there, but ultimately she knows that she doesn't have to do it all on her own. Absolutely. Ryan Dooley is one of our top recruits coming in, transfer from Parkland College. She has been an outstanding 1-2 combo kid in the junior college realm, helped them get to a national tournament there. Coming in right away, I think she's going to also play that big role in the 1-2 combo as well, maybe even start more of a 1 than going into the 2. And I expect her to be able to get us up-tempo faster. Same thing with Courtney Saylor. Those 2 players going hand in hand, getting us a little bit quicker, a little bit more defensively minded, some tips and things like that to be able to push tempo. And then I also have Taylor Green, incoming freshman from San Antonio, Texas. I think her biggest factor right now in getting minutes is going to be her endurance. And if we can get that up to a high level, incoming freshman, then I think she'll see the floor a little bit more, being able to put some strength in the post, as well as her quickness defensively, being a bigger forward inside for us. And then one more to speak of is probably Bailey Clamp, another freshman. I think that there's going to be some games that she's going to play really well in. I think there's going to be games that she's not going to be able to see the floor quite as much as she would like to. But I think that just comes with experience and the tempo and things like that, and being able to handle pressure. You know, I think her biggest asset for us is being able to get to the free throw line. And we were talking the end of last year. We ended on a note that we thought we should have been able to go a little bit further. But ultimately, I think she's one of those keys that can really boost our aura in the sense of getting up and down the floor, but ultimately able to get to the free throw line. But if she can't make the free throws, it's kind of hard to have her on the floor at times. So I think that's her mental game, is to continue to get to the free throw line, putting people in foul trouble, but ultimately you got to knock down those free throws at the end of the day. Carly Harper is probably one of the most unique players that we have, in the sense of, you look at her, she's not the most athletic, she's not the quickest, but she's one of our smartest players on the floor, and she can play the 1 through 5 if we need to. We like to hone in on her skill set and keep her more as that shooting guard, slasher type of player for us. And ultimately, she makes or break us, I think, in the sense of just her demeanor of, usually if we need a shot, we know where to go to. And she's one of those players that she knows right when to slash. She knows exactly when to communicate on the floor, because she's a fairly quiet player. But she's one of that, every coach in America wants that player, because she just does her job, and she does it extremely well, and she doesn't falter. I think I said it earlier, you got to play defense. I think that this game is becoming more and more offensive minded, and I think that if we can really hone in on the fact that our defense is going to create our offense, I think we could be a really talented team at the top of the conference.